Chapter 6. The Three Non-Outflow Studies. Ananda straightened his robes and then bowed in the midst of the assembly and placed his palms together. The tracks of his mind were perfectly clear and he felt a mixture of joy and sorrow. His intent was to benefit beings in the future as he made obeisance and said to the Buddha, "Greatly compassionate world honored one, I have already awakened and attained his Dharma door, this Dharma door for becoming a Buddha, and I can cultivate it without the slightest doubt. I have often heard the first command say, save others first, then save yourself. That is the aspiration of a Bodhisattva. Once your own enlightenment is perfected, then you can enlighten others. That is the way the first command responds to the world. Although I am not yet saved, I vow to save all living beings in the Dharma ending age. World honored one, those living beings will gradually drift away from the Buddha, and there will be as many devout teachers propounding their methods as there are the sands in the Ganges. I want to enable those beings to collect their thoughts and enter samadhi. How can I cause them to reside peacefully in a bodhimanda, far from the exploits of demons, and be irreversible in their resolve for bodhi?" At that time, the world-honored one praised Ananda in front of the whole assembly, saying, "Good indeed, how good it is that you have asked how to establish a bodhimanda and to rescue and protect living beings who are sunk in the morass of the final age. Listen well now, and I will tell you." Ananda and the great assembly agreed to uphold the teaching. The Buddha told Ananda, "You constantly hear me explain in the Vinaya that there are three unanswerable aspects to cultivation. That is, collecting one's thoughts constitutes the precepts. From the precepts comes samadhi, and out of samadhi arises wisdom. Samadhi arises from precepts, and wisdom is revealed out of samadhi. These are called the three non-outflow studies." Ananda, why do I call collecting one's thoughts the precepts? If living beings in the six paths of any mundane world had no thoughts of lust, they would not have to follow a continuous succession of births and deaths. Your basic purpose in cultivating is to transcend the wearisome defilements. But if you don't renounce your lustful thoughts, you will not be able to get out of the dust. Even though one may have some wisdom and the manifestation of churn samadhi, one is certain to enter demonic paths if one does not cut off lust. At best, one will be a demon king, or on the average, one will be in the retinue of demons. At the lowest level, one will be a female demon. These demons have their groups of disciples. Each says of himself that he has accomplished the unsurpassed way. After my extinction in the Dharma ending age, these hordes of demons will abound, spreading like wildfire as they openly practice greed and lust. Claiming to be good knowing advisors, they will cause living beings to fall into the pit of love and views and lose the way to bodhi. When you teach people in the world to cultivate samadhi, they must first of all sever the mind of lust. This is the first clear and unalterable instruction on purity given by the first commoners and the Buddhas of the past, world-honored ones. Therefore, Ananda, if cultivators of churn samadhi do not cut off lust, they will be like someone who cooks sand in the hope of getting rice. After hundreds of thousands of eons, it will still be just hot sand. Why? It wasn't rice to begin with, it was only sand. If you seek the Buddha's wonderful fruition and still have physical lust, then even if you attain a wonderful awakening, it will be based in lust. With lust at the source, you will revolve in the three paths and not be able to get out. Which road will you take to cultivate and be certified to the third common nirvana. You must cut off the lust which is intrinsic in both the body and mind, then get rid of even the aspect of cutting it off. At that point, you have some hope of attaining the Buddha's Bodhi. What I have said here is the Buddha's teaching. Any explanation counter to it is the teaching of Papiyan. Further, Ananda, if living beings in the six paths of any mundane world had no thoughts of killing, they would not have to follow a continuous succession of births and deaths. Your basic purpose in cultivating samadhi is to transcend the wearisome defilements. But if you do not renounce your thoughts of killing, you will not be able to get out of the dust. Even though one may have some wisdom and the manifestation of true samadhi, one is certain to enter the path of spirits if one does not cease killing. At best, a person will become a mighty ghost. On the average, one will become a flying yaksha, a ghost leader, or the like. At the lowest level, one will become an earthbound rakshasa. These ghosts and spirits have their groups of disciples. Each says of himself that he has accomplished the unsurpassed way. After my extinction in the Dharma ending age, these hordes of ghosts and spirits will abound, spreading like a wildfire as they argue that eating meat will bring one to the Bodhi way. Ananda, I permit the bhikshus to eat 5 kinds of pure meat. This meat is actually a transformation brought into being by my spiritual powers. It basically has no fire force. Jew Brahmins live in a climate so hot and humid and on such a sandy and rocky land that vegetables will not grow. Therefore, I have had to assist you with spiritual powers and compassion. Because of the magnitude of this kindness and compassion, what you eat that tastes like meat is merely said to be meat. In fact, however, it is not. After my extinction, how can those who eat the flesh of living beings be called the disciples of Shakya? You should know that these people who eat meat may gain some awareness and may seem to be in samadhi, but they are all great rakshasas. When their retribution ends, they are about to sink into the bitter sea of birth and death. They are not disciples of the Buddha. Such people as these kill and eat one another in a never-ending cycle. How can such people transcend the triple realm? When you teach people in the world to cultivate samadhi, they must also cut off killing. This is a second clear and unanswerable instruction of purity given by the first come ones and the Buddhas of the past, world honored ones. Therefore, Ananda, if cultivators of true samadhi do not cut off killing, they are like one who stops up his ears and calls out in a loud voice, expecting no one to hear him. It is to wish to hide what is completely evident. Bodhisattvas and bhikshus who practice purity will not even step on grass in the pathway, even less will they pull it up with their hand. How can one with great compassion pick up the flesh or blood of living beings and proceed to eat his fill? Bhikshus who do not wear silk, leather boots, furs, or down from this country or consume milk, cream, or butter can truly transcend this world. When they have paid back their past debts, they will not have to re-enter the triple realm. Why? It is because when one wears something taken from a living creature, one creates conditions with it, just as when people eat the 100 grains, their feet cannot leave the earth. Both physically and mentally, one must avoid the bodies and the byproducts of living beings by neither wearing them nor eating them. I say that such people have true liberation. What I have said here is the Buddha's teaching. Any explanation counter to it is the teaching of Papiyan. Further, Ananda, if living beings in the six paths of any mundane world had no thoughts of stealing, they would not have to follow a continuous succession of births and deaths. Your basic purpose in cultivating samadhi is to transcend the wearisome defilements. But if you do not renounce your thoughts of stealing, you will not be able to get out of the dust. Even though one may have some wisdom and the manifestation of true samadhi, one is certain to enter a devious path if one does not cease stealing. At best, one will be an apparition. On the average, one will become a phantom. At the lowest level, one will be a devious person who is possessed by a male ghost. These deviants also they have their groups of disciples. Each says of himself that he has accomplished the unsurpassed way. After my extinction in the Dharma ending age, these phantoms and apparitions will abound, spreading like wildfire as they surreptitiously cheat others. Calling themselves good knowing advisors, they will each say that they have attained the superhuman dharmas, enticing and deceiving the ignorant or frightening them out of their wits. They disrupt and lay waste to households wherever they go. I teach the bhikshus to beg for their food in an assigned place in order to help them renounce greed and accomplish the Bodhi way. The bhikshus do not prepare their own food so that at the end of this life of transitory existence in the triple realm they can show themselves to be once returners who go and do not come back. How can thieves put on my robes and sell the first come one, saying that all manner of karma one creates is just the Buddha drama? They slander those who have left the home life and regard the bhikshus who have taken complete precepts as belonging to the path of the small vehicle. Because of such doubts and misjudgments, limitless living beings fall into the unintermittent hell. I say that bhikshus who, after my extinction, have decisive resolve to cultivate samadhi, and who before the images of thirst come ones can burn a candle on their bodies, or burn off a finger, or burn even one incense stick on their bodies, will in that moment repay the debts from beginningless time past. They can depart from the world and forever be free of outflows. Though they may not have instantly understood the unsurpassed enlightenment, they will already have firmly set their mind on it. If one does not practice any of these token renunciations of the body on the causal level, then even if one realizes the unconditioned, one will still have to come back as a person to repay one's past debts, exactly as I had to undergo the retribution of having to eat the grain meant for horses. When you teach people in the world to cultivate samadhi, they must also cease stealing. This is a third clear and unanswerable instruction of purity given by the first come one and the Buddhas of the past world honored ones. Therefore, Ananda, if cultivators of true samadhi do not cease stealing, they are like someone who pours water into a leaking cup and hopes to fill it. He may continue for as many aeons as there find most of dust, but it still will not be full in the end. If bhikshus do not store away anything but their robes and bowls, if they give what is left over from their food offerings to hungry living beings, if they put their palms together and make obeisance to the entire great assembly, if when people scold them they can treat it as a praise, if they can sacrifice their very bodies and minds, giving their flesh, bones, and blood to living creatures, and if they do not repeat the non-ultimate teachings of the first come one as though they were their own explanations, representing them to those who have just begun to study. Then the Buddha gives them his seal as having attained true samadhi. What I have said here is the Buddha's teaching. Any explanation counter to it is the teaching of Papiyan. Ananda, though living beings in the six paths of any mundane world may not kill, steal, or lust, either physically or mentally, these three aspects of their conduct thus being perfect, yet if they tell lies, the samadhi they attain will not be pure. They will become demons of love and views and will lose the seed of the first come one. They say that they have attained what they have not attained, and that they have been certified when they have not been certified. Perhaps they seek to be foremost in the world, the most venerated and superior person. So their audiences, they say that they have attained the fruition of a Sotapanna, the fruition of a Shakridagamin, the fruition of an Anagamin, the fruition of Arhatship, the practical Buddha vehicle, or the various levels of Bodhisattvahood, up to and including the 10 grounds, in order to be revered by others, and because they are greedy for offerings. These Ichantikas destroy the seeds of Buddhahood just as surely as a tala tree is destroyed if it is chopped down. The Buddha predicts that such pupils sever their gurus forever and lose their knowledge and vision. Immersed in the sea of the three sufferings, they cannot attain samadhi. I command the Bodhisattvas and Arhats to appear after my extinction in response bodies in the Dharma ending age, and to take various forms in order to rescue those in the cycle of rebirth. They should either become Shramanas, white-robed lay pupil, kings, ministers, or officials, virgin youths or maidens, and so forth, even prostitutes, widows, profligates, thieves, butchers, or dealers in contraband, doing the same things as these kinds of people while they praise the Buddha vehicle and cause them to enter samadhi in body and mind. But they should never say of themselves, I am truly a Bodhisattva, or I am truly an Arhat, or let the Buddha's secret cause leak out by speaking casually to those who have not yet studied. How can people who make such claims, other than at the end of their lives and then only to those who inherit the teaching, be doing anything but deluding and confusing living beings and indulging in a gross false claim? When you teach people in the world to cultivate samadhi, they must also cease all lying. This is a fourth clear and unanswerable instruction on purity given by the first come ones and the Buddhas of the past, world-honored ones. Therefore, Ananda, one who does not cut off lying is like a person who carves a piece of human excrement to look like chandana, hoping to make it fragrant. He's attempting the impossible. I teach the bhikshus that the straight mind is the bodhimanda and that they should practice the four awesome deportments in all their activities. Since they should be devoid of all falseness, how can they claim to have themselves attained the dharmas of a superior person? That would be like a poor person falsely calling himself an emperor, for that he would be taken and executed. Much less should one attempt to usurp the title of Dharma King. When the cause ground is not true, the effects will be distorted. One who seeks the Buddha's body in this way is like a person who tries to bite his own navel. Who could possibly succeed? If bhikshus' minds are as straight as lute strings, true and real in everything they do, then they can enter samadhi and never be involved in the deeds of demons. I certify that such people will accomplish the Bodhisattva's unsurpassed knowledge and enlightenment. What I have said here is the Buddha's teaching, Any explanation counter to it is the teaching of Papiyan. Ananda, you asked about collecting one's thoughts. I have now begun to explain the wonderful method of cultivating for entrance to Samadhi. Those who seek the Bodhisattva way must first be as pure as glistening frost in keeping these four rules of deportment. If one is able to never give rise to anything superfluous, then the three evils of the mind and the four of the mouth will have no cause to come forth. Ananda, if one does not neglect these four matters, and further, if one does not pursue forms, fragrances, tastes, or objects of touch, then how can any demonic deeds arise? If there are people who cannot put an end to their habits from the past, you should teach them to single-mindedly recite my light atop the Buddha Summit, unsurpassed spiritual mantra, Mohe Sat Dan Duopo Dala. It is the invisible appearance atop the summit of the first come one. It is the spiritual mantra proclaimed by the Buddha of the unconditioned mind who comes forth from the summit in a blaze of light and sits upon a jeweled lotus flower. What is more, your past lives with Mataji's daughter created, accumulated compass of causes and conditions. Your habits of fondness and emotional love go back not just one life, nor even just one kampa, yet as soon as I proclaimed it, she was freed forever from the love in her heart and accomplished arhatship. Thus prostitute, who had no intention of cultivating, was imperceptibly aided by that spiritual power and was strictly certified to the position beyond learning. Then what about you, south hearers in the assembly who seek the most supreme vehicle and are resolved to accomplish Buddhahood? For you it should be as easy as tossing dust into a favorable wind. What then is the problem? These in the final age who wish to sit in a Bodhimanda must first hold the pure precepts of a bhikshu. To do so, they must find as their teacher a foremost Shramana who is pure in the precepts. If they do not encounter a member of the Sangha who is truly pure, then it is absolutely certain that their deportment in precepts and rules cannot be accomplished. After accomplishing the precepts, they should put on fresh, clean clothes, light incense in a place where they are alone, and recite the spiritual mantra spoken by the Buddha of the mind 108 times. After that, they should secure the boundaries and establish the Bodhimanda.